Jeff, you're live now.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. This is our third session for the day, a seminar on new trends in research. Today we have Chef Avin Thaliat with us to speak on latest research inclination in food industry. Let me, on behalf of Vatel Hotel and Tourism Business School at Sushant University, we welcome you, Chef. Let me, bronze medalist of Bangalore University in India, year 2004. Bachelor of Hotel Management degree, Chef Avin Thaliat went to pursue an MBA in Human Resources prior to that. And then he's an educationist at heart, currently serves as the Director of Academics at Levon Academy of Baking Science and Pastry Arts, India, having always nursed the desire and ambition to set up specialized baking school in India. Co-founding Levon is among the highlights of his illustrious career. Fortifying his education in his field of interest, Chef Avin took up an advanced level program in chocolate and sugar at FIV, the Choco Creation of Pastry Fine Arts, Malaysia. He also holds the credit of being a Golden Certificate awardee of Vatel Scholarship at Nice. After his studies in France, Chef Avin interned under Chef Antonio before working with La Grenade à Pain, Paris, Institut Vatel, Nimes, and also Rhone Valley in France. While in India, he has also worked with Taj Hotels and the Orchid Hotels. Chef Avin is a member of WACS, World Association of Chef Society, SICA, South Indian Culinary Association, and IFCA, in Indian Federation of Chefs Association. He has authored a number of academic journals, books, and monographs, and has presented award-winning papers at top-level industries. We again welcome you, Chef. Today, Chef Avin will speak on the recent inclination in the field of the research inclination in the field of hotel and tourism management. Chef, please, to you. Chef, can we have the presentation on?
Sure, just a second.
All right, I think thank you so much for that brilliant introduction. Thank you so much. I also like to thank Dr. Kumar. He was also my guide, your Vice Chancellor. And also thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity to present on the latest research inclination in food industry. All right, so I'm not talking about something which is not new to you all. It is something everyone knows, but I'm going to emphasize on something which has gone into the latest of the latest research in terms of 3 Ys. So when I'm talking about 3 Ys, it's about salt, it's about flour, and it's about the sugar. So though it is not a new topic, but there is something which is, there was a huge paradigm shift from the concept of just being taste. The taste moved to the hygiene aspect of it. Hygiene moved to healthy food. Now people are talking about, the world researchers are talking about tasty, healthy food. And what is that food that is without salt, sugar, or flour? So when we are talking about it, this is what the new research, and this entire research is conducted based on secondary data, and I was thankful to the Mintel who created this entire data, and I got this opportunity to to take the information from different research journals that has been submitted by Mintel, and I'm here to present this in front of you. Okay, and the agenda, we are going to talk about the need and the scope, innovation in salt reduction, emerging research in gluten-free products, research in advanced food preservation, innovation in baking ingredients, 2022 global food trends research. That is what I'm going to talk about. If you ask me if this is is that important to talk about it? Yes, it is very important to talk about it. It's not because there are cliche topics which is discussed around the world, but this is something which is a cutting edge research that has happened in 2021, and 2022 is going to read the results of this particular research. So my intention here is to acclimatize you to the to the research that is conducted in 2021, which started in 2016 technically, and 2022 is going to be a huge leap in terms of the research that is being conducted in the field of the topics that I discussed above. Can we have the first slide, sir? Okay. Why you need to talk about this is that is what I want to discuss first. There's a lot of innovation that is in terms of taste or color, aroma, or texture or mouth feel that has been conducted, and time immemorial it was always there. But how to preserve the health aspect of a consumer, that is something which has been added at a later stage. So the advancement of the food processing units and the hospitality sector post-pandemic, because so the era has been divided into two parts now, prior to COVID and after COVID. So there's a lot of research that is being conducted because the predominant importance is given to the health aspect of it more than the taste aspect of it. And 2021 brought in the concept of taste and health together to call it as tasty, healthy food. So this paradigm shift is something which I thought it is important to address at this point of time. And also talk about the transition from the tasty to healthy and tasty eating, to explore the world of natural preservation and fortification. You won't believe the amount of the research that has been conducted in terms of only on the topic of fortification. Earlier time, alcohol used to get fortified. Now each and every ingredient, even the salt is fortified, sugar is fortified, to the flour is fortified, and so on and so forth. And do your own kits for baking, cooking, beverages, consumer awareness about the nutritional information. Now everyone is worried about it. Everyone, I mean, this is something which I've seen in the last 1 year when the consumers or the guest comes and ask in our cafe, what has gone inside this? Is this free from gluten? Is this free from margarine? Is this free from sugar? And so on and so forth. So we will talk about this a little bit in detail. The first part that I want to talk about is the innovation in the salt reduction. Can I have the next slide, please? As you know, what is the functional role of the salt? I mean, everyone knows it's about flavoring, it's about preservation, it is about flavor enhancement to nutrient source to everything. And the average intake of the salt in the body has to be lesser than or equal to 2.3 grams. All right, and the excess intake, it is going to cause blood pressure, excess thirst, heart diseases, strokes, and so on and so forth. So low salt also in the food doesn't taste good. So is it possible to have food without salt? It is not possible. Is it possible to enhance the food with a replacement of the salt? Yes, that is possible. That is what I'm going to talk about. So if you take, can I have the next slide, please? If you're talking about three industries where the salt reduction has happened and the application of this particular research in terms of salt replacement has happened. It has happened in seasonings, the industry which deals with the seasoning, table sauces and the pasta, and lesser improvement were made in terms of baking, fish products, and as you know, the cheeses are impossible to make without the salt. So these three industry which deals with seasonings, table sauce and the pasta, and also bread and the bread products is something which I'm going to talk about. What is that we can use instead of salt? It is impossible for us to use or impossible for us to avoid salt, but a salt replacement can be possible in a natural way, not in terms of sodium chloride, but it is possible in terms of potassium chloride, and which is again a natural source, and it is made out of lactobacillus and peptides. So if you're talking about lactobacillus, is what is it? It's a bacteria which feeds on lactose, which is present in milk or cream or anything of that sort. And peptides. Peptide is nothing but it's a chemical chain of hydrocarbons, but it is chemically enhanced. So this is something which is fortified with minerals, and which is being directly used as a replacement for salt, that is the sodium chloride, and which helps in the sodium intake in the body. That is first thing. The second one is flavor enhancers like umami. You know what is umami is? It is nothing but the tongue sensation of the fifth one, which the most common one what we talk about is MSG. Kokumi. Kokumi means it means richness in Japan, and there are three amino acids that is been combined to produce the sensation enhancement of kokumi. They are glutamine, vitellin, and glycerin, which is technically an enhancement of salt, sweetness, and umami together. So usage of citric flavors, umami and kokumi is something which is being used exclusively in replacing the salt to give that salt feel, the salt mouth feel for the products that is being made. Microbial fermented salt. This is also a cutting edge technology that is being brought in. It is by the fermentation of sodium chloride. So now you may ask, then what is this research about sodium chloride and fermented sodium chloride? Sodium chloride is your normal salt, but when the fermentation happens, for example, let me put it in this way: if I'm intolerant, I can't take milk or cream for that matter. But if I'm going to ferment it in terms of a curd or a yogurt, then it is easy for the body to accept it. So similar technology which has been used in fermentation of the sodium chloride and also the potassium chloride, which I mentioned before, and it is fortified with natural enzymes and organisms, reduces the sodium content in terms of the acceptability of the sodium chloride to the body. That is also another technology which has been widely spoken, and I'm sure that this time 50 under 50 best restaurants of the world is keen to accept these aspects of cuisine in organizing the menu and also in introducing those new products. Apart from the usage of fermented and acidified ingredients, raw materials in the daily diets reduces the intake of salt. And that is nothing new, but that is something which is made into practice at this point of time. Fortification of salt with fibers, that is also another thing. So now let's say this is salt and it has been fortified by the fibers. So by the time the body needs the salt, the fiber has already filled in the gap and reduces the intake of the salt. So it is technically it is nothing but the body forgets the act of the salt because the fiber is being enhanced or fortified with the salt, and which doesn't allow them to think about, or the mind doesn't allow them to think about the intake of the salt, which has been easily covered by the use of fibers in the body. So this is another technology that is being used, and the research is also carried out at this point of time in terms of extracting salt from black rice, oligofructose, calcium carbonate, potassium sorbate, etc. So now if you ask me what is oligofructose? Oligofructose is nothing but a fiber which is naturally present in onions, chicory, leeks, oats, barley, rye, etc. So now if you are going to talk about the calcium carbonate, that is nothing but your tuna, what do you call that? What is being used in terms of the pan is concerned. Potassium sorbate and so on and so forth. Potassium sorbate is naturally present otherwise in terms of, it's a combination. If you're thinking about what is potassium sorbate, it's a combination of sorbic acid and potassium hydroxide, which is naturally present in all the wines, cheeses, baked goods, etc. So that is about the salt and the technology that is being devised to substitute sodium chloride in the diet. I will address the question at the end of the presentation. Chef Saurav, can we go to the next slide, please? We are going to talk about what are the emerging research that has happened in terms of gluten-free products. So every 1 out of 100 people in the United States, every 2 out of 150 people in Europe is gluten allergic. So what exactly is the gluten and where exactly it is being available? The gluten is available in all your breads, all your flour, which is a combination of gliadin and gluten in the presence of water and in terms of the heat that is being produced. The gliadin and the gluten combines together to form one single protein called as gluten. And um, if you technically see the carbon dioxide that is being produced by the yeast in the bread, which has been trapped by the gluten that is being produced, and it gives the structure and also the shape of the baked product. So that is something which is very basic as far as the gluten is concerned. But celiac disease is a very, very common one, and according to the World Health Organization, it is something which is growing in numbers in terms of its intolerance. Okay, and what exactly happens is if you are celiac disease, it takes a long time for the entire food to get digested. That is especially in terms of its refined flour is concerned. Um, and if you are going to talk about the world population, up to 6% of the world population is allergic to gluten, or they are gluten intolerant. If you talk about the gluten-free baking ingredients, in globally about 20% of baking ingredients and mixes have reduced the quantity of the gluten, or no gluten is up to 20% in terms of industry um, application. About savory biscuits and the crackers, they have introduced about 17% of this industry believes in non-gluten ingredients in their products. Same with 14% in hot cereals, 14% in 9% in bread and bread product is concerned. So that is the basic of the gluten. As I said, 6% of the world population is gluten intolerant. Then there's a lot of scope in terms of non-gluten products in the market. So I'm going to give you an indirect uh, uh, scope in terms of producing or introducing non-gluten flour-based products in the world. If you want to convert this into a monetary assignment, then yes, 6% of the world population, that is humongous in terms of number is concerned. And that gives you a monetary thought in terms of making non-gluten products. Can I have the next to next slide, please? This has already been explained. Next slide. All right. So with the increased interest in the preventive health, uh, about 46% considered as non-gluten as a healthy choice. In US, the gluten avoiders eliminate wheat or gluten as part of the healthy lifestyle. That means to say that about 11% of the US consumers are wheaten or gluten avoiders. Same as the Brazilian consumers think that by avoiding gluten, it helps in the digestion of the food. 43% of UK consumers believes that um, the free food. When I'm talking about the free food, there are about 12 free foods. For example, let's say we are talking about what are the free foods. The free food is nothing but the food which is away from allergens. That includes gluten. Fish is an allergen. Soy is an allergen, and so on and so forth. So 43% of the behavior is related to free food foods in terms of UK consumers is concerned, and they believe that by avoiding the gluten, there are the fitment of the behavioral aspects in terms of a normal life in UK is been fixed because of the non-gluten flours. Can I have the next slide, please? And this slide will show you that the amount of the research that is being conducted in terms of food ingredients is concerned, almost about 33% of research, that is almost the highest research that has been conducted in terms of gluten intolerance or gluten-free product is concerned. Followed by dairy, dairy-free, wheat-free, and so on and so forth. You can see that from the slide. Can I have the next slide, please? Now we are going to talk about what is that research that is being conducted in avoiding the gluten. Um, if you think that it is too scientific, I will bring it down. I will bring it to the to a language which is easily understandable by the viewers today. Okay, the first and the foremost research that has been conducted and it's still conducting in United States is about fortification of the flour with DPP. DPP4 exclusively. When we are talking about DPP, it is nothing but dipetyl peptidase. So what is DPP4? It is nothing but it is an enzyme which is there in our body which helps in digestion of gluten. In simple terms, it is nothing but it's an enzyme that is present in your body to uh, 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 to digest gluten that is being taken inside the body. So now, if you are going to fortify the flour with the DPP4, this research is still happening in the United States. This helps in the easy digestion of the gluten proteins in the body or gluten protein that is being taken inside the body. This is very cliche when it comes to what else can be used instead of wheat flour. That that calls for quinoa, buckwheat flour, chickpea, yam arrowroot, fortified with pea protein, amaranth protein, and gums and stabilizer. The most common gum is gum guar and gum arabica when it comes to the fortification of the flour. Raw banana flour, the government has approved a huge budget in creating raw banana flour. There's a huge mill that is coming up with a research facility in south of Kerala to produce raw banana powder. Apart from that, a combination of oats, millet, coconut flour in eliminating the gluten flours, that is the maida or atta is concerned, in the production of cookies and biscuits. If you ask me what is the difference between a cookie and a biscuit, there is no difference. Cookie is a term that is used in United States. Biscuit is a term that has been used for cookie in United Kingdom. So one is an American English, one is a British English. So that is the difference. So use of oats, millets, and coconut flour in replacing the flour is something which we are seeing for the last 3-4 years. But I'm just trying to fortify your knowledge also in terms of this. Another one is apple pomace. Dehydrating the pomace at a temperature of 55 degrees Celsius for 6 hours, followed by stabilization and grinding. And this flour is being used in a complete replacement for maida, that is a refined flour. And also combining soy flour, rice flour, and quinoa flour for making high protein cakes and bread is also something which we have seen in the last 3 years in terms of eliminating the gluten. That's about the second white, that is the flour or slash gluten is concerned. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. How much of research have conducted in terms of advanced food preservation is concerned? What is the natural way of preserving food? It is very simple. Either you make it highly acidic or highly basic. On a scale of 1 to 14, that is your pH scale. If you are going to make it highly acidic, you can preserve. If you are going to make it highly alkaline or highly base, you can preserve the food. That is the natural way. Example for this is jams, marmalade, preserves, confit, confiture. If you are talking about the base, then you are talking about the pickles by preserving it in terms of acetic acid or vinegar is concerned. All right. So, what is preservation at a glance? It is nothing but the consumer uh, wants and needs a naturally preserved food, longer shelf life. For example, let's say um, mangoes are available in south of India or around the country during the time of April, May, and June. Now, consider that you want to eat mangoes in the month of December. It is not possible. So, how you can make it possible? It is only possible if you are going to preserve the mangoes. How you can preserve? Either you can salt it or you can put it in sugar syrup. This is basic common technique that we were using time memorial in when it comes to the preservation of the a fruit or an ingredient is concerned. How can we preserve it? We have to bring in the temperature here under controlled preservation technique and also eco-friendly preservation practices. If you are going to use electricity in terms of preservation is concerned, it is going to increase the price of the ingredient is concerned. So, what are the natural way of preserving without increasing the other cost element, and also bring down the cost factor which is associated around this. Okay, 80% of the Canadian consumers agree on preferring baked goods with fewer preservatives, and 27% of the Thai processed fish consumers claim that they would pay more for processed fish product. 29% of the US cheese consumers considered addictive or preservative free as an important factor in the coming years while choosing cheese to eat or to consume. So as 56% of the Chinese consumers have the perception that addition of the preservative decreases the nutritional value of the food, and 26% of the US purchasers of hot dogs or sausage claim that they hadn't purchased due to the presence of many preservatives. Why am I talking about this at this point of time is that the world is moving towards natural preserving methods. So now if you are going to talk about the salt is the brine is the most easiest and the cheapest way of preserving the food. But now people around the world are thinking about any other preserving method other than salt in preserving the food for a long period of time. Can I have the next slide, please? And you can see the snacks company, which have used about 12.9% free from artificial preservatives. At this point of time, those ingredients or those products which is available in the world um, with the chemical preservative is highly costly at this point of time. So the research has conducted how to bring down the cost by using natural preserving techniques. My next part of my presentation, I'm going to talk about the same. All right. So, what is the way forward in terms of preservation is concerned? Fermentation is the best way of preserving the ingredients of the food. Um, the brine, as I said, in the pH value, in the pH scale, either make it highly acidic or highly base to preserve the food. These are the most common method. Even your grandparents or great parents have thought about this technique of preserving fishes to fruits to in terms of adding a salted solution or a sugar solution to preserve it for a long period of time. This is the common methods of preservation. Now, when we are talking about the research that has been conducted from 2016 to 2021, vacuum sterilization is another way of preserving. What is vacuum sterilization? Is nothing but not allowing the air to contact the food ingredient or the food product. I don't know whether you have heard about how to preserve the food. They have used the word fat term. Fat term is nothing but if the food is not there, there is no what you call a bacterial infection or any pathogenic infection. A stands for acidic or alkaline, making it highly acidic or highly alkaline. There is no bacterial formation in the food. T is controlling the temperature. The next T that out of fat term is time. The time, if you are going to give time for the bacteria to reproduce, it is going to reproduce. So you are going to bring in a control over the time and the temperature for the preservation technique. And O stands for oxygen and M stands for moisture. So now if you are going to give the best solution for preserving is not to give any of these conditions to the pathogens. That is fat term, that is food, acidic or alkaline, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. That is what we are going to talk about. The next one is the temperature control. By controlling the temperature, either make it so you'll know about what is temperature danger zone 5 to 60. If you are going to preserve the food below 5 degrees Celsius or keeping a temperature above 60 degrees Celsius, to an extent, I repeat, it is not a complete foolproof method, but to an extent, 90% of the food can be preserved by bringing the temperature lower. That is not bringing the temperature between 5 and 60, which is considered temperature danger zone. Either you bring the food below 5 degrees Celsius or above 60 degrees Celsius. That is technically what they do in a buffet arrangement where the food is either preserved about 60 degrees Celsius or on a cold bath below 5 degrees Celsius. The next one is reducing the water activity. The water is the biggest culprit when it comes to the food preservation. You try to control the amount of the water by reducing it or draining it out of the food product. Acidifying the products with lesser than 3.8, that means it is highly acidic in nature, which I was talking about the fat term. Silk fibroin, this you wouldn't have heard anywhere else. Silk fibroin is a very cheap way of preserving the food, which is going to be a cutting edge technology that is going to be that is something which the world is going to witness in 2022. What is silk fibroin? It is nothing but it is an insoluble protein present in silk. And what they do is it has been extracted and it has been mixed with water. It is soluble. It is insoluble. So what happens is that you spray on the product and it acts as a coating on part of the product. And so by preserving the food in the absence of air, or the air cannot come in contact when you are going to spray silk fibroin on the products. It acts as a glaze on food product, thereby the air doesn't come in contact with the food. And replacing the potassium sorbate with lactobacillus for dairy products. This is another way of preserving the food. Can I go to the next slide, please? All right. In terms of innovation in baking ingredients is concerned, there is not much of research that has been carried out other than organically grown or non-artificial additives or healthy and nutritious components, high in fiber, protein, and carbohydrates, low caloric sugars, and immunity supporting flours. So this is something which was already in the world in terms of its research is concerned. And 2022 also we are going to see as a continuation of what I discussed here. that is in terms of organically grown and immunity supporting flours. In terms of sugar is concerned, that is the third white. Can I have the next slide, please? In terms of sugar, there is something called as rare sugars is concerned. When I'm talking about the rare sugar, it is about allulose and the tagalose. Allulose is a synthetic sugar. That means it is chemical sugar, whereas tagalose is an artificial sugar, which has been completely created using chemical technology. So here the researchers are research is being conducted on the rare sugar exclusively on allulose. It is the most cost-effective manner. As you know, when you are talking about sucrose as sugar, that is cane sugar or the beet sugar is concerned, it is 100% of the sugar. Right? Every comparison is made always on the sucrose. And when you're talking about the sucrose, this is 100% sugar when you're talking about it. Whereas fructose is 115% of the sugar. So if you think that the fruit sugar is much more safe when compared to the sucrose, it is just a ordinary thought. Because the fructose, the fruit sugar, is much more in terms of a natural sucrose is concerned. So now the research is conducted in terms of allulose and tagatose is concerned. So allulose is a quickly making waves in the world in terms of its usage. When compared to the sucrose is concerned, it is also 100%, but the effect of the sucrose allulose on the body is comparatively only up to 2% when compared to the sucrose, which is about 80% application on the body. And it is being used in a lot of baking application, thereby reducing the insulin levels in the body. High fiber with no effect on the sugar or the texture, that is, we are talking about the opportunities of high fiber. For example, when I'm talking about the sucrose, which has been fortified using fibers, by the time the fibers is getting dissolved onto the body or digested on the body forgets about the requirement of the sugar, and it converts a notification to the brain telling that it's enough, I don't need sugar. So that is what the fortification of the fiber meant here. And the vegetable ingredients that we are talking about, this is nothing new about it. The consumers are seeking to improve their nutritional habits in the wake of the pandemic. And as I said, there are two eras before Corona and after Corona, and that includes the novel application that makes it easier to say that met the necessary daily quota. The cauliflower will likely seen in more baked products like tortillas and sandwich bread, as well as substitute for rice and potatoes. We are already carrying out research to make products out of cauliflower, and also in terms of rice, sugar, and potatoes is concerned. Okay, and let's talk about what exactly happens in 2022, and the application of this research is what is going to carry it out in 2022. Can we go to the next slide, please? All right. The future of the food trends. First one is empowerment of the consumers. Now, if you go to a supermarket and going to buy a product, it is mandatory that what is being used has to be written behind the packet of the product what you are buying. Now, in all probabilities, what they do here is they will use words which is not possible for the normal consumers to understand. Now things are going to change where it has to be brought down to the level of simple English is concerned. So the empowerment of the consumers, because at the end of the consumers are going to decide whether you are going to survive in the market or not. and the shift of which I already spoken about, the shift of focus from taste to hygiene to healthy products. Now the shift is made from the taste to tastier, healthy options. The concept of WEW, anyone knows about it, but this concept is called as work, eat, work. It is nothing but it is not about eating while working. It is about um, um, having a same environment where you can work, eat, work, eat, and so on and so forth. So it is that concept of WEW which is going to be humongous in the year 2022 and 23 as part of the future research is concerned. Um, balance between this is something which is again a common research thought, that is the creating a balance between both personal and collective concern with respect to the food. Transparency across food and beverages, and now people are more educated, people know what this particular ingredient is concerned, what is the effect of that ingredient in the body, and so on and so forth. So that is something which is going to be in headlines when it comes to food and beverage research is concerned. In simple terms, it's nothing but the transparency and the carbon footprint claims. Um, I like to emphasize something on this. The global research, and which is recently concluded in 2021, says that the food which is available within 100 kilometers, and they have used the word called as global, that is nothing but globalized local, globally available local ingredients, which has to be consumed up to 90% as part of your regulatory diet or part of your regular diet. Which means that if an ingredient which if it is not available within 100 kilometers is not supposed to be consumed as per the health organization. So the amount of the energy that is being produced in terms of a global footprint, the moment when they are going to bring down the footprints in terms of carbon emission, is something which is going to be a cutting edge technology in terms of food ingredients is concerned. So technically, if chocolate is not available within 100 kilometers where you are, it is not supposed to be consumed. I'm not going to emphasize on this because our industry, where the food and beverage industry that you and me are representing, revolves around this particular concept. For example, let's say a Parmigiano Reggiano, which a Parmesan cheese, which is not available within 100 kilometers. If you are going to consume, it is going to end up in a bad way in the body. That is something a research that is being currently occurring in the world. Okay, and the future trend of the food revolves around this concept that I just explained. And in 2022, what is that we are going to see? Can I have the next slide? It talks about the flexible spaces. What are flexible spaces? Retailers, restaurants, and the brand can create multifunctional, meaningful spaces where consumers can connect, shop, and eat in person or online. According to 2022 trend, flexible spaces is something which we all look forward for. Companies will creatively use food, drink, and food service venues as forums where consumers can spend time, express themselves, and meet new people. So it is going to be a personalized food, beverage, and space. How well we are going to connect the aspect of food, beverage, and the space around us is something which we are going to talk and develop in the year 2022 and 2023 is concerned. Over to you. Is there any question that I can answer?
Yes, Chef. Thank you so much, Chef. We have a question now from Mr. Anna. He's asking which preservation method has the least effect on nutrient, Chef?
If you are the question was not clear, it broke in between. So my understanding is that what is the best preservation technique? Is that the question?
Yes, yes.
All right. So what is that we are trying to aim by preserving? by preserving is but nothing but decreasing the water activity. So is that in terms of money is concerned, if you are asking about what is the best preservation technique, obviously that is going to be the fermentation technique. If you are going to talk about medium range preservation technique, that is going to be the brine and the sugar. But if in terms of a commercial aspect is concerned, I think my vote is for silk fibroin, which is something which I was behind for the last 3 years in terms of preservation technique is concerned. I'm happy that the Mindel has chosen silk fibroin as a in terms of preservation in the world that is going to see in 2022 and 23 is concerned. But if you are going to ask what is the best preservation technique, there is nothing best about it. It's all about your level of usage. Whether your level of usage is to reduce the cost or level of usage in terms of consumerism is concerned or convenience is concerned. So each and every aspect has a different preservation technique. Which is feasible or non-feasible is concerned. Hope I answered your question, Anna.
Thank you so much, Chef. Thank you so much. Great answers. Chef, one more question from Ms. Anshu. What are the areas in the food industry for young researchers which are under exploration? Suggestions?
Okay. Okay. So now
There is-
that question, my understanding is that is one of the student in first year, second year, or the third year is concerned. Guys, things have changed from my time to your time. We were not aware about keto diet to sugar, how to reduce sugar and everything. Now things have changed, and the entire world is revolving around how healthy you can make the food is concerned. So now the entire food research is behind how well you can reduce the intake of salt, reduce the intake of flour, and reduce the intake of sugar is concerned. So the world looking forward, I think it is going ahead in reducing these three whites, and how well we understand this subject is going to fetch you more results in terms of money, in terms of career, and in terms of entrepreneurship is concerned. So how well you are going to understand this concept will fetch you that money in terms of entrepreneurship is concerned. And the entire world is revolving around this concept of reducing the three whites. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much, Chef, for sharing about the recent sciences in terms of food products that you have just mentioned about flour, gluten, or sugar preservation technique. There was a whole kind of a wave of researches concerning to about reducing carbon footprint. I guess you have covered it all. Probably there are many more to add to it, but uh, uh, with so much research and innovation happening in the field of gastronomy, especially post-COVID, when you actually said it right that people are giving a lot of attention to what actually they are consuming. Uh, because they're more educated in terms of food components, what they're actually putting into their stomach. So what is it that we still have a very few or a limited number of chef researchers in the field of food sector as compared to say management or science and technology? Where do you find the gap at present?
At present, I will talk about Indian scenario and global scenario is concerned. Hotel management as a discipline is concerned, we have not given predominance important to research is concerned. We learned food science because we wanted to write exam. We were not very serious about food science or hygienic aspect because we took an easy way to get rid of science in our degree college. At least I'm talking about myself. Okay, I'm not talking about there are exceptional students in your college. I agree, but how to bridge the gap between this is to bring science and arts together, uh, join with entrepreneurship. That is where the world is going ahead. The entire global scenario is is to, for example, let's say you are cutting onions, but you have not seen what exactly inside onion is concerned. We talk about there is oligofructose in onion. We talk about potassium sorbate, which is present in wines. Have you seen it by your naked eyes? When I got a chance to visit one of the universities in Breda in Netherlands, um, I got the opportunity to see what exactly happens inside an ingredient is concerned. We spoke about the sugar caramelizers when the onion is sauteed and all the stuff. Have you seen it? We can see, yeah, it is turning itself into a caramel. But what exactly inside happens? What happens inside the onion? We have not seen it. The world is going to think in that way. We are going to see it's not about just making a lababdar gravy, but also will be forced, and take my words, in 3 years from now, we will be forced to address this question: what exactly happens inside lababdar gravy? It is not only about making makhani, but also looking into the science of making a makhani gravy. That is where the world is moving to. Over to you, sir.
Very rightly. Thank you so much, Chef Avin, for this enriching session. I've already taken my notes. I've learned a lot from the session. I'm sure that the other attendees have also are inclined towards the gastronomy. This is just an icebreaker session in the field of. That's our first seminar series. Probably this is a base for our upcoming research seminar series. Develop research capacity and for other fields as well. So that's a series of 11 research oriented sessions. We are starting off from 11th February every Friday from 3 to 5 onwards, wherein we'll have a conversation from the eminent researchers in the field of hospitality and other fields, and we'll talk about how to formulate a research topic if you're undergoing a research, and if you're even planning to undergo a research, and how to draft research synopsis, how to do a literature review, all the components of a basic research that you need to undergo, including the statistical and the referencing styles. We'll cover it all from a session starting from 11th February. Every Friday, 3 to 5. You all are welcome to join in. We'll share the link with you again, like we did it for this session. We would like to thank Chef Evin for taking out time. Chef, you have a busy schedule, but thank you so much for taking out time and share your views and about the recent researches.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I request you to send this PowerPoint across to all the participants. If in case one out of this participant is going to make use of what we spoke today, I think that is a huge achievement for us.
We'll also try to create a WhatsApp group for all the attendees, so that probably we can share the link directly to that WhatsApp group, and post seminar will, within a span of 2 days, we'll send you the certificate also. Thank you so much,
right,
everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I can exit the event?
Yes, Chef. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.